afternoon, everyone. It is noon, so we are going to go ahead and get started. I want to first go over what we're going to be discussing, and then we're going to dive right into it. So first, this is going to be a webinar about content marketing. Specifically, what is content marketing? Why is it important? It's always kind of vital to start with that first, if you will. Then we're going to go on to the basics of creating content, distributing that content, creating your brand identity, and really the culmination of this is going to be towards client conversion. How can all this kind of come together to create more clients for you? Then we're going to finish off with a question and answer session. If we do have questions, I'm also going to break throughout the webinar and ask if you have any questions. We do have a Q&A feature that you can use throughout, and when we pause, we will go ahead and look at those questions that you may have. I do want to start with introducing Masha, or actually allowing Masha to introduce herself. Masha, if you like, go and chime in here.
Yeah, morning, everyone, or afternoon. I'm Masha Madavi. I'm the other co-founder of SEM Dynamics, and both Matt and I have a lot of experience in digital marketing, so I'm just very excited to go over this content marketing strategy with you guys. Matt, back to you.
Cool. And just an overview of me and kind of who we are. My name is Matt Post. I'm the co-founder of SEM Dynamics. Been building websites since '96. I've been marketing websites since '97. We've been invited to Google for some stuff. Certified in conversion rate optimization. That's kind of the science of how to get people to say yes to you and your offer. So I have 4 certifications in that. For the last 6 years, I've been focusing on helping small to medium-sized businesses be successful online, and we've generated over $36 million for clients last year. I believe we're going to be over 40 million this year so far, trending. So a little bit about me, but I'd rather dive right into the topic here about content marketing. First, we want to define what is content marketing. We're talking about content. What are we talking about? And content encompasses a lot of different things. We're not just talking about how to make blogs, how to write articles. We are talking about, creating social media posts, videos, ebooks. There's the list right here. This is not an all-encompassing list. It can expand further than this, but this is the most common forms of content that we see online. So email marketing, social media posts, and articles. That is typically the three top, and videos. I'll throw that in there as well. There's a lot of videos. Obviously, we have YouTube. So why content marketing? Well, as business owners, to make us money. That's the end result, right? But why are we going to choose content marketing as that vehicle to generate revenue for us? It's because it helps you with your brand, helps you with your brand presence, helps you convert those clients through your messaging, through the various touch points that customers often need to make that decision to choose you, right? Usually people are not going to be choosing right away, immediately, a company that they're going to do business with. There's often multiple touch points that are required to gain trust so that those customers can know a bit about you, feel some kind of personal connection, and then ultimately make that conversion decision. So now we looked at what and why. We're going to take that first step, and that is identifying your audience. We always start with identifying the audience. There's no point. It's foundational. You don't want to create content without noting the audience, or else you're going to have misalignment. You're going to create content that interests you, and you are not your own ideal client. So first, we want to look at the client and create content that's, we're going to call it customer first. So we need to start with demographics and psychographics. By demographics, I mean, gender, age, income, family, location. Not all of those are going to be applicable, and there may be some additional items that are applicable. These are just the most common. A lot of times, gender is not going to come into this scenario. Sometimes it will. If you're a CPA, you can do business with, pretty much anybody. But if you're focusing on a business owner, then, we kind of look at income, and that can be one of the demographics. They're a business owner. They're not a business owner. They're employed. What is their employment? Where do they work? That can be part of your demographics as well. Also, what do they want in life? What are they seeking? What do they want in life in general? What do they want in life from your industry, from your service, from you specifically, from your business? Also, what do they fear? What do they fear in general, this type of audience? What makes them tick? That's what we're looking for. And what do they fear? What is their hesitation in doing business from you? With both of those, we want to ask why. You always want to follow up these questions as to why. Not just what is their fear, but why is that their fear? And I like, if you've seen my past webinars, I always talk about going 3 deep. We want to go deep on these emotions, and we want to get to really a core driving factor. So we're going to ask why 3 different times. First, here's the fear. Why is that the fear? Okay, now ask why again, then ask why again, then ask why a final time. You're going to get a lot deeper understanding of your audience when you go 3 layers deep. Lastly, where are they in their journey? Not every customer's, or target audience is ready to buy from you right away. Sometimes they're not aware of even the problem that they have. So when we talk about the journey, we want to know, are they problem aware? Do they know that there's a problem, but they're not aware of all of the solutions to that problem? Or are they aware of the problem? They're aware of the majority of the solutions, and they're trying to decide on which provider of that solution they're going to engage with. Those are all different avenues within their own buyer's journey. So where is your target audience in that journey? Without knowing that, we don't know what content to create that's going to really engage them in that moment of their journey to help carry them the rest of the way. Finally, once you have that information, we want to create personas. And personas is essentially just a fancy term. It's going to be a summarization or a culmination, if you will, of all of these questions having to do with the demographics and psychographics. Often they're going to put a name to that specific persona. That's not necessary. It's usually just for internal reference. So you can say, Stacy is a 38-year-old mother of 2 who's married, lives in Cleveland. They're medium income range, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you go down this line. So, but you say Stacy so that you can refer to Stacy later on, and it's again internal self-reference. But you don't need to add a name. You don't, whatever you feel comfortable with. That's the idea. The important part, the important part is that you do this practice first. That it's vital. Once we have identified the target audience, we want to ask, how are we going to give value to them? What fulfills what they're seeking, right? What is going to alleviate those fears that they have about the service, the industry, your business specifically? What helps them most given where they are in their journey? Once we answer this, now we know the solution. And the solution, I'm not saying what service or what product do they need, but what information do they need? What content can help them with their fears and with that seeking that they have, and helps them on that journey? When we have these 2 in place, now we're getting somewhere. Now we got some really good information that we can build upon, and we can start brainstorming different pieces of content that we can create that's going to really help them out. That's going to be much more engaging than just going through a list of what is this, what is that, definition blogs and things that are, I'm just going to say, the things that are boring and not engaging. Posts that you see everybody do that just don't get the replies that you want, that you deserve as a business owner. Next step is we want to bucket those items, because you don't want to misalign your ask, what you're wanting, with what they're wanting, right? So we want to bucket these so that we can stay organized. Is your content, is the idea that you're creating, does that piece belong in a bucket of information? Right? Is it a how-to? Is it a white paper, a document? Is it instructions? Is it inspirational? If you are a business to business industry, then inspirational can be, the motivational Mondays type of posts, right? Is it that we're trying to inspire a client? Think of like Nike does a lot of content that's inspirational in their commercials and in their ads. That's what they go for a lot. They don't need informational. It's a shoe. Doesn't work for their clients. What does work for them is inspiring people, though. Also, we want to look at personalization. How can you, and I'm not talking about how do you know what their name is and what their gender is and all that fun stuff. What I'm talking about is you getting personal with them. What's your story? Why are you unique? How did you come to be where you are, where you can now help them? Another one is link building. I'm not going to get too far into link building because that can be like a 2-hour conversation on its own, but you can generate content specifically on getting links from other bloggers to give you a boost in SEO. Finally, content that's specifically meant just to convert. And we don't want to cross these over. If you're having content that inspires people, you really don't want to be purposefully trying to convert them as well at the same time. You can a little bit, but it's got to be more of a soft sell. It's definitely completely different messaging than content that is specifically meant to convert. So now that we have bucketed our ideas, our brainstorming, we move on to the next step in saying what media fits the content that I've created, right? Content type matching is what I call it. Video, YouTube, right? So what fits where? A video can also fit on social media. It can fit on Facebook or Instagram, depending on the length. Also, which is also important, is where do they go for information? Are they going on LinkedIn because they're a business owner? Are they going to spend their time and get information from Facebook? Again, where are they in their journey? This is very important because that's going to also match with where they are or what kind of media you can deliver. Informational how-to blog on somebody that doesn't know that they have a problem yet probably is not going to be engaging. It's not going to get a lot of traffic because they don't have a problem yet. So you need to formulate that content specifically to their journey. And then also, what are your resources? So as an agency, we have a wider reach of resources for our clients. That becomes less of an issue. So that becomes more of a question of budget as well. What can you do? How much time can you allocate? Do you know how to edit videos? Can you do it yourself? Are you comfortable being on video? So what are your limitations for you personally and within your business? With that, you can then narrow down where you can be placing your content and what type of content you should be building. Once you have created or start creating that content, then we're getting ready to distribute that content. We need to have consideration for content frequency. This goes back to resources. Creating a content calendar so you can stay on task. Are you going to be creating daily posts on Facebook? Is it going to be a monthly newsletter? Content frequency is important to nail down ahead of time before you start. Then visuals. You want to make sure that you have congruency in the visuals that you're using, whether it's video, even if it's a blog, you want to have some type of visual that helps summarize and helps capture their attention. Social media, asking questions and engaging. If somebody comments, comment back. Thank them for commenting. Thank them for sharing. A lot of opportunity is missed because of the lack of engagement on social media. So it's important that you have social media posts that are engaging by asking opinions and open-ended questions, and also engaging with those who are engaging with your posts. This goes to the next one, responding to people replying to emails, respond to those who are engaging. Content distribution, we're looking at partnerships as well, collaborations, segmenting your content if you can. In your emails, if you're doing email marketing, segmenting who they are, and then creating an email newsletter for specific segments. If they live in different locations, for instance, those can be different segments. And include a call to action. Have it be straightforward, simple, only look at one call to action. And finally, once you've created content, you want to ask yourself a term that's often used is called upcycling. How can you upcycle your content? You've created a blog. Now you can break that up into social media posts, or you can use that blog for a video, and then you can break that video up into social media posts, and you can create a newsletter about it. So you can take this one concept and you can really expand out. This again goes back to your resources. What limitations do you have? You don't want to overcommit yourself and then not follow through with what you have, with the goals that you set for yourself. So because of that, you always want to keep in mind of the resources and plan ahead. Give yourself milestones, give yourself goals. But at some point, as you become comfortable with maybe one or two methods of distributing your content, ask yourself what's the easiest next step to upcycle your past content and your future content. Because now that you're used to it, you got a little bit more time on your hands, or maybe you have a little more resources available to you. And a little quote, and it's going to be, success is the culmination of small actions executed consistently over time. So I'm going to go into brand identity. Actually, we go back one. We'll go back one. We're going to skip some things a little bit. I'm going to make it a little wild if you allow me. I want to stop and ask for some questions. I see that we got a couple of questions coming in. Masha, if you can chime in here.
Yes. Okay. So first question is, how much detail do I need for a persona, and how many personas do I need to make?
I would start with, because you have a lot of different audience types, a lot of businesses can say, I've got like 20 different people that I serve. Start with just a few. Start with 3 personas that are most likely, 2 factors, most likely to buy, and more importantly, personas that you really want to be working with most, right? People that you enjoy working with. So that's the how many personas. And what was the first part of that question, Masha?
How much detail do I need for a persona?
As much detail as you can get into. You don't need to like overdo it. If you're not going to use the information, don't put it in your persona, but put in as much detail as necessary that you're going to use. That makes sense.
Okay. And then, is it okay to make a Facebook post that that can be in more than one bucket?
You can link content together. Ideally, what you do is you link it together so you have, say, information. Click here, you've got some type of handout, a checklist, or whatever it may be, and your call to action would be to visit the site to view whatever that list is. On that article, you can then at the bottom suggest a different call to action. I wouldn't have more than one call to action in a social media post. And so at that point, you need to ask yourself, what is the purpose of this? And have your call to action be relevant just to that one single bucket. They're either going to read the article, they're going to comment, or they're going to click the button to sign up or whatever it may be.
And last question, what if my business is boring? How can I get people interested in it?
If you look at the emotional triggers that people have and you go down deep into those whys, you won't have to worry about that. You may not be talking about the specifics of your business. You may be, if you sell insurance, it may not be all of the fun details of auto insurance that people probably don't want to read, but that's not their driving issue. You can start creating content about how to safety tips for children over summer, right? That still aligns with insurance. It's a little more engaging, a little more interesting, and it probably solves some fears that some of your target audience may have. So I would look more into the target audience as to what they're seeking and what their fears are and why. And don't think about how can I talk about my business. Think about how can I talk about and address their fears and concerns. All right, so I think that's it. So we're going to move on to brand identity. To increase the brandability, if you will, of your content, you want to align your voice in how you're writing, how your imagery is. If you're witty, personally, as an individual, if you're or joke around and you're witty, have that be part of your content. Have that be part of your brand voice. Carry that over. Your business should be a reflection of the owner, and it creates a personal connection. So I wouldn't shy away from that at all. Build a brand guideline, really important. Like what, font, logo, again, what type of personality you want within your brand. Do you want to be quirky or whatever it may be? Be consistent. That's very important. You want brand consistency. Again, tell your story. Your story should be part of your brand. This leads on to being personalization, and engaging. All of this is part of how your brand is. Your brand should be that of like, hey, we're communicative, and therefore we engage, we reply to comments, and we're not afraid to get personal and tell you who we are, what our background is. And best of all, collect feedback. People like giving their opinions. Collect that feedback and adapt to the feedback that you do receive. Moving on, once you have all this stuff, then I put the conversion at the very end, because you really need everything else in place before you get into conversions. So have there always be a next step. Just like Masha, in the example that we had, you create the social media post and say, click here to read the full list, right? That is that next step. Once they read that full list, have it be get tips on A, B, and C to your email. So sign up for whatever the offer is. And then in that email campaign, now you're converting them or asking for that conversion. Now always have that there be a next step in whatever that content, whatever that conversation is. Stick to one ask. This goes back again to that social media post, right? Only have one ask. People, and if you have one ask, limit it to only a couple of ways they can fulfill that. And I say that because like a form on a website and a phone number on a website, that's fine. If you start having 10 different ways that people can get a hold of you, they're not going to know which way that they want to get a hold of you. And you're going to get what's called analysis paralysis, and your conversion rates are going to go down. Having more ways to take an action can decrease your conversion rates. So keep it simple. Don't pitch them on the problem you just solved. If I just told them the top 3 ways to get a clean car, or make sure that a car stays clean throughout the summer, don't pitch them on car cleaning service. They just solved that because you just gave them the answer. Think of another mechanism where your car cleaning service becomes the solution. Maybe it can be where to go. It could be for like, off-roading, or where to travel, because, as you travel, your car gets dirty. Now you become relevant. Now you become another step in their journey. Use specific landing pages for specific problems and situations. Don't send people just directly to your homepage. If you're running ads or you're doing posts on Facebook, if you're talking about one specific service, send them to the page about that specific service. Be clear and credible. All businesses will either lack clarity or credibility. It's up to you to figure out which one is greatest and overcome that. In marketing, we know that a lot of marketers are shady. It's a service that lacks a lot of credibility. And so it's important that we overcome that credibility. It's purposeful why I say my credentials at the beginning of these webinars, because I know that there should be credibility when we're having these communications, when we're talking. Why listen to us? We need to answer that right away. And you should be thinking about clarity and credibility in your offer as well. And don't submit. Avoid submit buttons. Everybody who knows me knows I will always say this. Nobody likes to submit. If you have a button on your site, that button should be a call to action that somebody actually wants to take. Get help now, download my free copy, whatever it may be. Submit is probably the least engaging thing that they would want to do with you, probably. So moving on, I want to go over a conversation flow, if you will, during say a blog, and this can be Facebook post, emails, everything. There should be this conversation flow, and it should be the people they engage first. Once they are going to engage, then they understand, they get that clarity right away. What are you trying to say? What are you trying to offer? Next, they need to believe you. They need to believe that what you're saying is true. Then they need to want this from you. And all you have to do after that is ask them to exchange, to ask them to take that next step. When you do that, that's when you see those greater conversions. And I want to give a couple examples real quick. I know we got about 5 minutes left. So a couple examples real quick. One, email. For writing emails, subject line is going to be your engagement, right? They're not going to open the email unless you've engaged with them. Understanding might have to do with the subject line as well, right? Intro of the email. Again, understanding, who are you? Why are you emailing? What's the purpose? Right away. Don't beat around the bush. I hope this email finds you well. Please don't ever start an email with that. Start off with, how do I know you? Why am I communicating with you? Once they understand, then we go into the belief, which is trust. It could be, I've over 1,000 clients have, done this, whatever the email is about, in the last 90 days, and 83% of them have had success, or whatever, right? Build that trust, have some type of trust building within that portion of the email. And it can only be done after they understand why they're even reading the email. Then say UVP, that's unique value proposition, because they need to want this from you. What makes you unique from that trust? Why are you that go-to person? After that, your call to action. Click here to learn more, click here to see more, click here to schedule a consultation, or whatever it may be, just whatever that next step would be in that email. Then, I'm going to do another example. I have one example left here, and that's social media post. How this can be adapted to a social media post. Captivating image. First thing, people scroll. They just want to scroll, and they want to see cute puppies and catch up on what's going on with their family and friends. So we need to have a captivating image or video, something that's going to stop the scroll. Then that's going to be your engage. Then we go right into the understand. That's going to be the headline. Often that shows up underneath the image, or it could be the first part of the post, or it could also be text that's on the image. All of those can be headlines. That's going to be the second thing that they see. That should be the understanding right away. What are they getting? Cut to the chase. Very simple, very concise, very brief. Headline, introduction. We're going to go and build trust next. Again, same thing as the email. Like, why should they be doing this? How have other people seen success? Why should they trust you? Why should they trust what you just said? Once you bring in that trust factor, you then, again, just like the email, bring in that unique value proposition. Why you instead of a competitor? Once you've added that, then there's your button, your link. Click here to see more. Click here to read the list. Click here to do whatever it may be. I will say, when you're adding a button, when you're adding that call to action, always think of what the next step is. Do not pre-sell. And when I say don't pre-sell, don't sell them scheduling a consultation on a post that has to do with information. We're mixing buckets. This is why we don't mix buckets, right? You want to say, hey, click the link to view the article, or click the link to see how, or to learn more. That's the next step. Once they're on that article, once they're into that next step, then we can get them to convert. So that's what I have so far. It looks like we're coming right up on the 30-minute mark. So Masha, are there any questions that came up in the Q&A?
Yes. So can AI be used to help with this process? And I'm assuming with writing content and coming up with content ideas.
All of this can be done, not all, your brand voice can't. A lot of this can be done with AI. If you guys, it would take a long time to explain. So all of these have prompts. We can do some really good prompts to accomplish a lot of this in the brainstorming. The final product, you probably want to actually have your hands in the final product. I don't trust AI enough to do, just a one-click kind of end-all be-all situation. If you want me to do another one of these specifically on just AI and AI prompts, let me know. Put it in the question and answer, and let me know, or any other topic. Just let me know. Yeah, AI can definitely help. Next.
This one is more of a comment than a question,
Uh-huh.
but it's funny. I always thought it had to say submit, or am I thinking of sign up for a newsletter?
For a newsletter, you can say, join our community. You can say, sign up. You don't really say submit. Often those buttons can be changed to whatever you want them to say, whatever's relevant to the newsletter. Yeah, I don't know of a situation that I can talk about publicly where submit should probably be the call to action. Let's not use submit.
I feel in almost every situation you can think of a better call to something better than submit.
Yeah, pretty much always.
Okay, and I have a last question.
Mhm.
How do I know what content is working?
You'll want to look up, Google this, Google UTM codes, and you can add a UTM code to the link that you're using in your emails, in your ads, on your anything that's not on your website. And then you can track, it lets you track the success, how many people were clicking on that item. Google Analytics will break this down generally. We'll break down and say you're getting traffic from social media, but to know specifically what post is getting the most clicks and the most engagement outside of comments and posts, you want to look up UTM codes and use those. Another thing would be tracking numbers. And if you want to know how to set up UTM codes, you want some more information, just send me an email and I'll help you. I'll walk you through how to get UTM codes set up. And same with tracking. If you do offline conversion, if you have a service that's offline, then you want call tracking. And what happens is the number on your website can change depending on the source of where people are coming from. That way you can attribute that phone call to specifically content or to the platform. And that can be very helpful. And again, if anyone wants help setting up call tracking, we're actually partnered with CallRail. We would do that at no cost because CallRail, quite frankly, they pay us to set up people on accounts, but we can use CallRail, call tracking metrics, and any of those. Those are the two top ones, and either of those we can set up for you. And it costs about $50 a month though. So yeah, UTM codes are free. All right, is that with the Q&A? All
That
right,
is it.
cool. So I just wanted to thank everybody here. Next webinar, this is May 30th. I didn't change this. Psh. Next webinar will not be May 30th because that's today. That would be weird. But it is going to be on the topic of reviews and testimonials, how to get reviews, what to do with negative reviews. We're also going to try to tackle how to get Yelp reviews to stick. That's the #1 problem that people have with reviews, getting Yelp reviews to stick. I've got a few ideas that we're testing out, and I'm going to talk about the results of that in the next webinar. So we will send out an email ahead of time and a text message ahead of time so you can sign up for that webinar. And with that, I thank everybody for attending.
Thanks, everyone.